Abarera Legos Ram Ori Banish C10 Demonio Dinaja 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 Abarera Legos Ram Ori Banish C10 Demonio.
And so we begin. Hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So, as always, hail Satan, hail Lilith, hail Lucifer, hail Paimon, hail Baphomet, hail thyself. We reject the Trinity, we reject the baptism of John, and we reject the baptism of the Spirit. I do hope you all are doing well. Infernal salutations to all. I'm doing some cold coffee today because, well, I don't need piping hot coffee in 80-degree weather. So I do hope everyone is doing well. Today is going to be, again, kind of diving into ourselves. I've noticed that one big aspect, yes, cold brew, good stuff. So one big aspect of the left-hand path, a big aspect of Satanism, big aspect of like many parts of what we do is shadow work, is understanding oneself. And this makes so much sense because we are unable to fully take advantage of the world around us and the fruits that the world has to offer without fully understanding ourselves. Hence the slogan of the show, channel, being Hail Thyself. It's not just a moniker of worshiping oneself in the sense of that you are the most powerful being in your own existence, from the standpoint of being able to control the decisions and choices that you make in your life. It isn't just that. It also has a lot to do with understanding yourself, understanding your shortcomings, understanding your flaws, not being ashamed of them, not hiding them, but understanding that the things that are not as wonderful about yourself are equally as part of you as the parts that you love and adore about yourself and the parts that others love and adore about yourself. We know that the saying that we are all the villains in someone's story. And as of late, there has been a trend of people using the term, I'm in my villain arc, as if they understood the true nature of villainous behavior. To be the villain in someone's story doesn't necessarily make you a villain overall, just in that particular situation. And perhaps maybe you handled things not as well as you could have, which makes you the villain in that story. However, true villainy is not the goal here. Right? That's not the focus. We're not trying to be bad or be evil or be disliked. What we're doing is we are caring for ourselves. And this is where this villain arc comes from, is this idea of self-care. This idea of focusing on one's own well-being. Now, in my opinion, to focus on one's own well-being doesn't make you a villain, it makes you intelligent. To focus on your own well-being, one must understand oneself. We must understand the good and the bad about ourselves. We must understand when put in certain situations, we're going to react a certain way, and there's nothing wrong with that reaction as long as we are aware of that and we're able to emptively warn other people of, hey, don't do this, don't say that. This is how I'm going to react to this. It's not that I can't control that reaction, but that's the reaction you're going to get. And so, I wonder if I started too early. I've been doing like 11. Changing the subject here really quick, because 11 works really well. But I don't know, because of the time difference, if Mystic is still doing his stuff or not. I don't know. Let's see. I don't want to overlap with his stuff. Oh yeah, he's still live. Guys, are we starting too early? What do y'all think? Think we're starting too early here? I think we're starting too early today. Oh well, it is what it is. So, when we talked about last week, when we kind of dug into indulgence, not compulsion. Can't go back now. Yeah, exactly. So, okay, just a heads up, guys. That means from next week on, we're going to be starting an hour later than when I'm live right now. It's just the time differences and the time changes are messing with me. So, Mystic, if you catch this later, I apologize. I made the show overlap. So, my apologies. But so last week we talked about indulgence and not compulsion. And that it's okay to indulge oneself in the things that, well, humans indulge themselves in. These natural instincts that we have for, sexual gratification, physical gratification, emotional gratification. There's nothing wrong with gratification. The idea the funny thing is that many of the things that are an aspect of the seven deadly sins in Christianity are the very things that make society function. Society functions because of the seven deadly sins. Society functions because we're greedy, because we're gluttonous, because we want more, because we covet, right? The whole concept of influencer marketing is coveting, right? Somebody has an amazing computer setup, a great keyboard, good lighting, great cable management, and you see that. What do you want? You want it. You want that. You want something similar that fits your personality. You covet those material objects, right? So it is what it is, right? These aspects of things, these seven deadly sins, are the very things that propel society forward. The reason why capitalism works is because people constantly want more. They want more of what they already have, right? 1 second, everyone. Apologies for that. And if you guys saw me walking funny, that's because I have a sprained ankle. So I'm kind of gimping along here. Okay? So, society is propelled forward because of the seven deadly sins. These are the things that we look to complete us. You want a nice car. You want a nice house. You want a nice whatever. Whatever it is, that is the focal point of propelling society forward. Right? Is want, need, desire, lust. Ravine, I see you there. Welcome to Satan and Coffee, the Sunday Black Mass. It's good to see you. So, this is where the left-hand path in Satanism builds itself as the more modern spiritual outlet for human beings, because it does not deny the human being his or her human nature. Now, there are things that even in the left-hand path and even in Satanism, we look as absolutes. We look at as morally apprehensible, right? If one, for example, is the type of person that wants multiple partners in a relationship, then let it be known to all parties that you are involved in that that is what you want to do, right? Don't keep that secret, because to keep that secret from one of your partners is to say that you believe that there is something morally wrong with what it is that you're doing, and that you feel that you need to hide it. And so when you hide something like that, you're denying yourself. And you're also denying the other person their ability to make an educated decision on whether or not they want to partake in what you want to do. Evie, welcome. Good to see you. Good to see you. So these ideas still have morality attached to them. And understanding oneself and understanding one's flaws and accepting them as part of you is part of this step. Let's say, for example, let's go to an extreme example here. Let's say you are somebody that has a compulsion to cause physical harm to other people. Again, this is a compulsion, not an indulgence. But where we get confused is we want to indulge in compulsion. So we get confused between the difference between indulgence and compulsion. So let's say someone out there has the compulsion to want to cause physical harm to another person or anything living. And you want to indulge in that compulsion. We, in the left-hand path and in Satanism, still hold true to this idea, this moral value, that to cause harm to another is not your right as a living being. You have a right to live, as does any and all other living things. And the reason I'm bringing this up, you would think it would be common sense that something like this is apprehensible, something like this is unacceptable. You would believe that it's common sense, but our detractors, the Christians primarily, would love to have the world believe that because we believe in indulgence, that inherently means that allowing people to indulge in their desires also includes their darkest desires. Which again, these feelings or desires are described as compulsions. Hence the reason we say indulgence, not compulsion. I hope I'm making sense here. We should not and cannot partake in these compulsions that we feel, if we feel them. And many of us have. Understanding oneself, part of understanding oneself is to understand when your boss at your job pisses you off, and as much as you would love to take your monitor and smack him across the face with it, you're not going to. Because what's going to happen if you do that? If you do something like that, then you're going to go to jail. You're going to go to prison. You go to get arrested, you go to jail, you go to prison. Then you are limiting your own freedom. So, in a compulsive act of violence, you have now sacrificed the very thing that makes you powerful, your freedom. So I think it's very important for us to understand this difference between indulgence and compulsion. And one of the primary reasons I'm bringing this up is because I've had somebody that has watched the show and has brought this to my attention. And so that his idea is that, well, you're all for indulgence, so what about indulgence of things that cause harm? When we say indulgence in things that make us human, right? Indulgence in food, indulgence in vanity, indulgence in greed and gluttony. It's okay to want more money. It's okay to want, more of something that you enjoy. Only you can put your limits, right? Only you can put your own limits. And so another thing, here's an unpopular opinion. Okay? So One of the popular things inside of the left-hand path and Satanism at this point is not only are people left-hand path, but they're just left. And there's this giant idea of hating the rich, hating a rich man. And I'm only going to present to you a concept here. If, as people of the left-hand path and as Satanists, we believe in indulgence and we believe in exercising our success to its most extreme, being able to have everything and anything that we want when we want it, being able to be in a position of power to deny access to ourselves to other people, to hate someone that has reached that level of success is to hate yourself because you haven't reached that level of success. Now, there are lines, right? People that have garnered success on the backs of other people unjustifiably, right? With unfair wages, unfair working hours, things of that nature. But everyone has a choice. And so one of the things that I want to dive into today is the depth of that choice. We all have a choice of what we're going to do. One of the biggest things that we constantly talk about is if you want to change in your life, the only person that can exercise that change is you. So we can say that we do not agree with the rich business owners' business practices of underpaying their workers, overworking their workers, things of that nature. We can say that we disagree with those ideas and those concepts. However, everyone involved in that situation has made a choice. The people that made the choice to work for said rich business person made that choice consciously. And we cannot say that we are the architects of our own destiny and that our choices matter, and then turn around and say we don't have a choice. Do you see how this works? We cannot be hypocritical in our own moral structure, because then that makes us no better and no different than the very Christian mechanism and organization that is trying to destroy us. We leave ourselves vulnerable and open to attack when we believe in what we believe in at half. We can disagree with the perceived lack of moral aptitude of an individual and the positions that they put other people in. But at the end of the day, nobody has control over you unless you give them control. It's just how it works. There's always a choice. There's always an option. I heard an interesting quote recently. If you're not a liberal in your 20s, if you're not a conservative in your 30s, you have no brain. I'm aware of that. I'm a bit apolitical. I don't fall on either side. But I do believe that people should have the ability to earn as much as they want, to gain as much as they want, so long as they're not directly hurting other people. So we can complain about the hours, we can complain about the pay, we can complain about everything that we want. There's nothing forcing you to be there. It's not slave labor. You're not forced to be in that situation, to be with that company. Heard of Thomas Leroy is a good Matthew. We always have a choice. We always have a decision to make. Always. To sit there and say that someone does not have a choice and they have to do something is directly contradictory to the entire value system that we believe. There's always a choice. There's always a decision to make. There's always an option. Maybe not a better option. Never said that the option had to be better. But there's always an option. In life, we can look at things two ways. Almost always. It's either better or just the lesser of two evils. 9 times out of 10, it's always going to be the lesser of two evils. Because there's always going to be something that we don't agree with. There's always going to be something that we don't like. There's always going to be something that teeter-totters on our perspectives and ideas and what we find to be acceptable. Nothing is ever going to be perfect. But if you look at a lot of what is out there when it comes to eat the rich, hate the rich, is completely against the concept of the left-hand path and Satanism. Because it's give what you can, when you're able, to maintain balance to those that you believe deserve it, right? So we sit here and we say, love those who deserve your love and hate those that deserve your hate. Love completely and wholly and hate completely and wholly. But then we want to give everything to everyone. So the idea is that they want to remove the choice of me giving or someone giving what I have extra, what you have extra, to those that you believe that deserve it. Instead, it's just give to everyone. No, we've talked about that at length. We recently just went through that whole thing. But the problem is inside of our own ranks, there's such a level of hypocrisy. Those that believe that there is no such thing as theistic Satanism, that say as a fact, theistic Satanism does not exist. Satanism is only atheistic. To say that is to go completely against Anton LaVey's own concepts and ideas of what Satanism was supposed to represent. And for those that don't remember, we talked about this at length. If I remember, it's on page 40 here. (46) 40. Yeah, page 40. So, wanted God dead or alive. We read this a while back, but just as a reminder, it is a popular misconception that the Satanist does not believe in God. The concept of God, as interpreted by man, has been so varied throughout the ages that the Satanist simply accepts the definition which suits him best. Man has always created his gods rather than his gods creating him. God is to some benign and to others terrifying. To the Satanist, God, by whatever name he is called, or by no name at all, is as the balancing factor in nature and not as being concerned with suffering. This powerful force which permeates and balances the universe is far too impersonal to care about the happiness or misery of flesh and blood creatures. and this ball of dirt upon which we live. So, Anton LaVey himself said that whatever deity you want to believe in, whether that be yourself or something external to yourself, call it what you will, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. But for some reason, the very people that follow this to the letter do the same thing that the Christians do with the Bible. They cherry pick what works for them, what they believe is purest to the original concepts and ideas. Coffee. Drink it if you got it. T. Slays. Those kind of questions are better for the Friday show, for Apocrypha. So, the Sunday show is not kind of like an open discussion forum. We're kind of like one track here, you know, kind of where we're going, so we can't just like bounce around. Because I'm also on a very limited time budget on Sundays. So, I would love to have a conversation about that, but not the time nor the place currently right now for that. I just don't want you to feel like I'm ignoring you, right? It's like, I just don't want to get into the concept because it kind of veers off a little bit, right, to what we're kind of talking about. Comments made in context to what we're talking about will be read and incorporated. So, inside of our own ranks, we have people denying others or attempting to deny the freedom that they're supposed to have in the choice to be or not be theistic or atheistic. To be a Satanist does not inherently mean or require that you be an atheist. And these purists that believe to be a Satanist, you have to be atheistic. Their aggressive nature in their beliefs are akin to the Order of Nine Angles. That this is the way. This is the only way. This is the only way to be a Satanist. This is the only way you can believe in what I believe in and call yourself what I call myself. It begins to sound a lot less like Satanism and a lot more like Christianity. Because even in Christianity, the Catholics hate the Baptists. The Protestants hate the Catholics. The Baptists hate the Catholics. Everyone hates everyone that's in a different subsection of Christianity. And now we're building that same idea and that same concept inside of the occult. Because regardless of whether or not you are a theistic Satanist or an atheistic Satanist, you are an occultist. Because regardless of the reason that you go into ritual, whether it be psychosomatic or spiritual for you, you still go into ritual and you still reap benefit from that ritual. You are, by definition, an occultist. So, let's get some further reading, shall we? So we're going to be moving forward to on the choice of human sacrifice. The supposed purpose in performing the ritual of sacrifice is to throw the energy provided by the blood of the freshly slaughtered victim into the atmosphere, the magical working, thereby intensifying the magician's chances of success. The white magician assumes that since blood represents the life force, there is no better way to appease the gods or demons than to present them with suitable quantities of it. Combine this rationale with the fact that a dying creature is expending an overabundance of adrenaline and other biochemical energies, and you have what appears to be an unbeatable combination. The white magician, wary of the consequences involved in the killing of a human being, naturally utilizes birds or other lower creatures in his ceremonies. It seems these sanctimonious wretches feel no guilt in the taking of a non-human life as opposed to a human's. The fact of the matter is that if the magician is worthy of his name, he will be inhabilitated enough to release the necessary force from his own body instead of from the unwilling and undeserving victim. So again, one point to pay attention to here, again, we're talking about, Anton LaVey here is talking about a magician and a magician's power, right? And he says, the fact of the matter is that the magician, if the magician is worthy of his name, he will be uninhibited enough to release the necessary force from his own body. So, again, he's saying, yes, there is power in ritual. There is power in yourself. There is power in what you're doing. And if you are a worthy magician, you don't need anything else. You only need yourself. Contrary to all established magical theory, the release of this force is not affected in an actual spilling of blood, but in the death throes of the living creature. This discharge of bioelectrical energy is the very same phenomenon which occurs during any profound heightening of the emotions, such as sexual orgasm, blind rage, mortal terror, consuming grief, etc. Of these emotions, the easiest entered into one's own volition are sexual orgasm and anger, with grief running to close third. Remembering that the two most readily available of these, sexual orgasm and anger, have been burned into man's unconscious as sinful by religionists. It is small wonder they are shunned by the white magician who plods along carrying the greatest of all milestones of guilt. So again, we have access. If we need an extra boost in magical energy, there are ways to do it. There are ways to enhance our magical energy without causing harm. Now we can use, a bit of our own blood, perhaps with a pinprick, to activate a sigil or to anoint a candle with intention, with blood-tied intention. But the important part of this entire part is the next page over. And this is the point of the whole thing, is under no circumstances would a Satanist sacrifice any animal or baby. For centuries, propagandists of the right-hand path have been prattling over the supposed sacrifices of small children and voluptuous maidens at the hands of diabolists. It would be thought that anyone reading or hearing of these heinous accounts would immediately question their authenticity. taking into consideration the biased source of the stories. On the contrary, as with all holy lies, which are accepted without reservation, this assumed modus operandi of the Satanists persists to this day. There are sound and logical reasons why the Satanists could not perform such sacrifices. Man, the animal, is the Godhead to the Satanist. The purest form of carnal existence reposes in the bodies of animals and human children who have not grown old enough to deny themselves their natural desires. They can perceive things that the average adult human can never hope to. Therefore, the Satanist holds these beings in a sacred regard, knowing he can learn much from these natural magicians of the world. So those two paragraphs right there are significantly like the most important in this chapter. Because this cuts through the bullshit and gets directly to the point about what every single person believes and thinks about somebody on the left-hand path, or if it's a Satanist or a demonologist or what have you. The idea that the only thing that we exist for is destruction and chaos and the end of all things. That's our overarching goal. No, our overarching goal is a better self-existence. That is our overarching goal. And just like Tislay's said, the rule of responsibility to the responsible and personal accountability. You are responsible for your choices, you are responsible for your actions, and you should be held accountable to those actions and to those choices. It is that simple. Every choice you make is yours and yours alone. And never forget that there is always a choice. We like to close ourselves off with this concept of I don't have a choice. I have to do this. There's no other options. There's always other options. Maybe not better. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. Maybe not a better option. But again, sometimes we can't find the best option. We have to choose the lesser of two evils. And if in that circumstance, and if in that situation, we don't like the better option, and we don't like the lesser of two evils, which they are not inherently the same, then we need to move, get your ass up, put your shoes on, and move in a different direction. And find other options. Everything's a choice. You don't want to work, you don't want to pay bills, you don't want to do that, any of that stuff. You want to ride around on a skateboard for the rest of your life? It's a choice. I can't tell you if it's a good choice or a bad choice. It's your choice. And I've always said there are no good choices or bad choices. There are only choices and then consequences. That's it. That's the only thing that exists. There is no good choice and no bad choice. How we define good choices or bad choices, how we define those. Gutter Halo, thank you for the $2. Greatly appreciate it. The way we define choices is by whether or not the consequence is to our favor or not to our favor. We define a bad choice by receiving a consequence or suffering a consequence that is not in our favor. We just define a good choice by having a consequence that is in our favor or favorable to us. But that doesn't inherently make the choice good or bad. In any and all choices that you make, there is always going to be a victim somewhere in the line of the choice that you're making. Right? You find a new job that pays you more money, you put in your 2 weeks notice. Now that company is going to lose the resources that you provide to it by you moving on. Now, we might not necessarily look at the company as a victim because of our choice, but something still has to be sacrificed. Right? Something still has to be, a door needs to be closed in order for the next one to open. So, with every choice we make, we are closing one door, inevitably, and opening another. Now, the definition of good choice or bad choice is brought in simply by what is on the other side of that door. Is this something that's going to help me? Is this something that's going to hurt me? And at the end of the day, we don't really know. Every time you open up a door, you cannot be 100% unequivocally certain of what's on the other side of that door. You might think you know, and then once you open that door, it's a big gust of wind that knocks you on your ass, and you have to crawl through it to get to the other side of it because you closed the one behind you. And that's how we define our choices. That's how we define our decisions. There are no good choices. There are no bad choices. There are choices and there are consequences. There are consequences in our favor and consequences that are not in our favor. And all consequences are learning experiences. People like to say that, a good choice is a good choice and a bad decision is a learning experience. They are all learning experiences. Do you learn more from your mistakes? Yes, inevitably. You learn more because you don't want to repeat the mistake and repeat the consequences that were attached to that mistake. That's why we feel like we learn more in our mistakes. But overall, everything that we go through, positive or negative in our lives, is a learning experience. And then we take that with us and apply it to future decisions and future choices in a hopes to increase the probability that the consequences are going to be more often in our favor rather than against. That is all life is. It is a series of choices until you stop breathing. Every single day is a choice. Getting up early, getting up late. Healthy breakfast, unhealthy breakfast, no breakfast. Shower, no shower. Shoes or boots. Shorts or pants. Car or bus. Umbrella, no umbrella. Everything's a choice. Every single thing you will do for the rest of your life is a choice and a decision. Everything. Your power, the most powerful aspect that you have of yourself, is to be 100% unequivocally in control of your decisions. No one can force you to make a choice. Only you can. Someone may be able to limit options in certain situations. But if you think about it, there's always another option, even if there's somebody's not presenting it to you. You just have to wonder if you're clever enough to find it. And that is how all of these things are built. This is how our lives are built. We are built on decisions. We are built on choices. And sometimes choices are horrible. I just ordered a brand new keyboard, something super stupid. I ordered a keyboard. I ordered an Epomaker X Fecker. IK98 or something like that, or 68, I don't know. The mechanical keyboard. It took me 3 weeks to figure out what keyboard I wanted because there are so many choices. Now, do I think I made a good choice? I don't know. I don't have it yet. How am I going to define whether or not I think it's a good choice? Well, if I get the keyboard that does everything that I wanted to do and I'm satisfied with the product, then I'll believe it was a good choice. So the consequence of the decision, of taking so long to make the decision, is that I got something that hopefully fills and checks all the boxes of what I'm looking for in a keyboard. I could have very easily spent more money and went with something that is more popular and potentially got something that I'm not 100% satisfied with. Right? Consequences. Actions, consequences. Choices, consequences. Benefit, unbeneficial. That's how it lies. That's how it works. Using it as an example. And of course you come in when we're talking about keyboards, or when I'm talking about keyboards. But our entire lives are built around decisions and consequences. Some of them are beneficial, some of them aren't. It's that simple. Build today with the knowledge you gained yesterday. Yes, 100%. Right? And again, you hope that by building what you're building, based off of things that you've been through before, that it increases the probability that you're going to make a better choice, and that you're going to more frequently have consequences that are beneficial to you. It doesn't guarantee it, but you hope that because of your learning experiences in the past of good consequence, bad consequence, or beneficial consequence and unbeneficial consequence, that you're able to make smarter decisions that increase the probability of having beneficial consequences for each and every decision that you make. And that's literally what it breaks down to. That's it. Okay? Satan doesn't want us to be rebellious for the sake of rebellion. We don't make choices based on what's going to, or at least we shouldn't make choices. We shouldn't make choices based off of negatively affecting other people. That making sure that the consequences in the ebb and flow of our choices negatively affect those around us. Being rebellious for the sake of rebellion is simply too easy. The adversary stands as the adversary against those that would put you in shackles. One second. So, before I was so rudely interrupted, consequence, choices should only be made through the idea of self. One second, because I'm starting to get irritated now. Sorry, just had to tell somebody to stop messaging me. It's like I'm live. So to make choices or make decisions for the sake of rebellion, just to be rebellious, just to cause harm to other people, is not something that we should do. Because when we begin to make choices and we begin to make decisions for the sake of affecting other people's well-being, we inevitably will end up hurting ourselves. Because you're not looking at what the consequence is going to bring you. You're only looking at what potential consequence is going to happen in the ripple effect. right? And when we move like that, what happens is we're inevitably going to crash into a wall. Because now you're only making decisions off of the basis of what it's going to do for other people. And this is the same thing is if you make choices to help other people, not just hurt other people, but also to help other people. So when you constantly make choices and you constantly make decisions which create a ripple effect with the intention of helping other people and not focusing on what's going to happen on your end of things, you're inevitably going to crash into a wall. You are responsible for your choices. You are responsible for your decisions. You are responsible for your consequences. You're responsible for where you are in your life, and you're responsible for where you're going. Rebellion for rebellion's sake is too easy. We, as followers of the adversary, being that of which is adversarial, are adversarial to that which only wishes to remove our freedom. People, again, become very confused by these ideas of, well, you worship the adversary. You're adversarial to everything just to be adversarial. Wrong. It is having and knowing the right time and the right place. Knowing when to pick a fight and when to bow out respectfully. And again, these all fall into choices. These all fall into decisions. Many people, younger people, want to be on the side of the adversary because they want to be adversarial. They want to grab that young, youth-enriched angst and stand against everything on the status quo. Not understanding that being adversarial doesn't necessarily mean that you are constantly and perpetually in conflict with everything around you. Sometimes the easiest way to tear down a system that does not function for you and others in your community is to become a part of that very system. And then what many find when they become part of that system, they realize that there are reasons because that system operates the way that it does. And that change is slow. Because it's not as simple as changing the wording in one thing or removing this. There is entire complex systems inside the system that function based off of each level. But sometimes becoming part of the system is the best way to change it. Anyway, kind of gone a little bit all over the place today, but I think it was very interesting to kind of cover these aspects. But that is going to be the conclusion of today. I started a little bit early. Again, like I said, starting as of next week, we're actually going to be starting at this time that we're finishing right now. So whatever time it is for you, wherever it is you are in the world, right now, when we're ending, at this moment is when we're going to start next week, right? I was unaware that I overlapped with Mystic's show, and I kind of feel bad. So there's that. And that's going to be it for today. So my lovely demons, thank you very much, everyone, for being here. Dyra, Evie, T-Slays, Ravine, Curse, Lady Tessa, all of you, thank you very much for being here. You guys are fucking amazing. And I will see you all next Sunday. So, infernal blessings. And as always, hail thy fucking self. See you in the next one. Peace the fuck out.